I think that's what we're all thinking. Yes.
Good.
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're about to live broadcast or stream.
Is there any way we could live stream from a webcam?
We're streaming, we're live
I like
streaming right
that.
here,
Right there,
right
yeah.
Can we record it?
So look, yeah,
Can we?
And I
so
can-
it's being recorded, so we can see it later, or is it
Yeah.
just live stream?
yeah, it should be being recorded,
It should record it as well.
and see this link? I'm about to tweet it.
See, and it's just like a few seconds behind.
Yeah.
I loved it under like who to follow based on us. It says Pavlov's. You should follow President Fastides and us.
Alright, Marcy, you're about to tweet the link to this live
Yeah, should we go upstairs?
feed.
Did you guys put signs up?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Is Morgan coming?
Start pushing people down here.
No, I don't think Morgan is coming.
Yeah.
She's gonna go start grabbing people from upstairs.
Yeah.
You weren't doing anything. Come downstairs.
Yeah.
Or just
Yeah, I mean, we've got 3 cameras now. It's probably
Cool.
no.
Yeah, there's 8 of them right there. This is as Marcy. Is that gonna be alright? I'll try to log out and do it again. Let's do it again.
You can do it as me.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys want to, but I will accept the question.
Tweet.
Oh, you got a copy? Oh.
Now this should pop up here as well.
So, is it going to record it?
I'm not positive. I think it will. Let me check in a second.
Yeah. Because there's someone that wanted to see it or something.
Yay, thank you.
Thank you. We have the card readers.
Here. See?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
There we are. Oh, you can't see that. Never mind. Cool. So grab that link and start doing all the social media stuff with it, so people will click on it and watch us.
Trips is hanging out.
That's right.
Marcy.
Yeah, the organization part.
Or Paula.
That's right.
It's always at least make it interesting, right?
Yeah, it's a real.
I'll
be asking for
it.
This is not a non-conflict all this time. What we're doing with trusted transcripts, that's what it's.
Making instructions.
Mm-hmm.
Trusted transcripts.
Don't forget to introduce that. This one.
Our campaign.
Yeah. And then have us just.
I have been we have a student board of directors. It's all like student lives across the house.
So, trusted transcripts. And there is a major competitor against customers. That's this company called Venmo. They're related to eBay.
Red Circle.
And PayPal. Yeah. When they call it social business.
It's getting comfy.
That's right.
He's the one that walks the line. I like to be the rebel. I get up and walk around, you know. What is this guy doing? I'm testing, I'll be pin testing the crowd, right?
Social engineering.
That's right. I would be the outlier.
See if
I'll fuzz the crowd.
Yeah.
So completely out of touch. Arctic Nougat.
You can't.
Yeah, I asked them, and they said
They were like, does he have Tourette's?
Is there any way we can like?
Have you seen the South Park game trailer?
No.
Oh man. Yeah. So basically, it's RPG. They're trying to, they're questing for the most powerful person. Like Mr. Hanky can be like a wave of poo. Must buy.
See if the other ones are on.
I didn't see, they were in the trailer. I hope so. That'd be good. But yeah.
Yeah.
Or Santa Claus.
Yeah, it's pre-order on Steam right now.
These recorded from earlier. I mean, like testing it.
Of course, you do have a camera board that you can maybe stream live.
Okay.
Oh, the MacBooks.
Great.
Oh, yeah.
That's good.
The old diet.
Okay.
And that was the
That'd be awesome.
So you can
See, Dave.
Yeah, it's not about.
Oh, Mike. Oh, I see that. Mike, I thought it wasn't ready.
Get on Facebook and Twitter.
Always. I mean, I don't understand. I mean, there's 500 people in the room. They don't want to dance, and they think that mics aren't on, and they're talking on. How do you think you have a private conversation with 100 mics right there?
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I'm sure.
These are people with top secret clearance.
Really?
A lot of them do.
Wow.
I mean, they have to, they're on the boards and whatever.
Discussion.
Oh, I
They're
got you.
some packs.
Sure.
Yeah. Search it.
Hi. Hi, Paula. Nice to meet you. I'm Marcy.
That's right.
Hovered over the cooks.
Instructor. Really appreciate you coming. Thank you so much.
Oh, I mean, everyone's trying to find parking, so
Yeah.
it's okay.
Very hard indeed. Hey, Hi. Hey, buddy. Good, I got you.
Get your camera for the test. I'm like, whatever.
Freewheeler.
Yeah.
Just for your questions.
I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth till I open it.
That's right.
Big shout out.
I feel like it's ready to go.
Okay. This is Paula.
That was easy.
No, what is
Yeah. Some more than others.
Yeah, Lily's.
A little bit. Spot patching.
Don't worry,
So
that
you're
keeps
still
going.
disorganized. You're
And
saying
then
it's
paint the outside next week.
Was last Wednesday, which was
That's
storm.
And
Stacy's our general contractor. But we got it. Really, the general contractor, but she still haven't coordinated.
Yeah, I have not been a general contractor yet that I didn't have to go back and keep up with. Double check.
So let me get this to sit properly.
Why don't you just hold it the whole entire time?
This is really,
Does that help?
well, yeah, but you're gonna need that.
Wait, what about the eraser?
I'm gonna be tweeting out. Is there anyone? I
There's
don't.
nobody in the
I'm
office.
tweeting all my answers. I'm not talking to anyone in the Again, the rep. Participation.
I wish it was instant.
My own way.
I wish this was in the Coliseum. Yeah, it would be nice. Maybe call Stephanie and he needs to be back. Ashley moved out of being so they're still having this organized PRC meeting that they aren't there.
That would have been 80.
Like, they weren't supposed to have one on this day.
Me either.
They, like, rescheduled it last week.
Did you swipe the card?
They haven't even mentioned it.
Who's our PR guy?
Sweet.
These are the.
So that's
That's
Black
just.
people.
Yeah.
I think you're right. And so it's still 12 years.
So
Dope setup.
Hmm?
It's still pretty dope setup.
Tom?
What did your father think about?
Yeah, right. On the internet right now.
Both of us are with UTS Security.
Are you proud of this?
Yes.
Good job, Matt. You were awesome.
Must have lots of
Well, they would do, I mean,
Remember that?
we could make it not more. We could
Boards of trustees
make it
are
definitely say it's not more than like, say we're doing it to record it, but the video of it, so like, lots of prices and so many reviews.
More than you would care to know.
Yeah, because what you consider crisis. Yeah, it's,
Yeah, so we're gonna put it on the USC website.
Now
I think
you're.
we can get all the answers to this.
Yeah,
Probably
right.
come up with a
Jaded that for a while.
yeah, our level of risk and everybody else's level of risk tolerance is pretty different.
Go.
Yeah, people are like, it's on fire. We're like,
Go usher.
it'll die down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's all right.
It's gonna run out of
It's a
fuel.
little
soon.
brush fire, you know? Don't worry about it.
Because of the event posted. But, I mean, the people use
Hello.
blast every
Are you gonna go to security panel?
UNC.
Yeah.
And part of it was pro-Clemson,
We're about to.
some bias.
Marcy can probably switch your
Unfortunately, they showed up.
There's cookies and snacks and things over there as well.
What do you need, Caroline?
I mean, it should be just like for
No.
extra credits.
No.
Yeah, well, you can still, if you guys.
No,
No, we don't have that. We're doing, we're getting the list of people who send it and sending it out. Are they able to recommend
The
it
local
or anything?
and
Yeah, yeah.
everybody else.
Yeah, it's fine. Do you have your card?
I don't need it.
Yeah.
Unless they get.
That's been playing on our state forever. Yeah. And it used to be, well, what's that? It's now kind of not quite the same, but the rural counties could sign the big counties for highway money and especially when you had somebody like the longtime speaker, Solomon Block. And then Richard Dennis was Senate president and he was from Berkeley County.
Where's this going to in the 60s?
80,
Thank you.
80 cents.
Do you have your camera card?
It showed an
Okay.
This is a program making for a child. Catherine Calhoun does. I call her CEO.
No, she didn't have her card.
She's become a model. Now she's dropping out of UNC. I don't think she finished her sophomore year. She is the regular companion of Thomas Ravenel. I follow her on Facebook, and she's actually a friend.
So, find out.
Ravenel.
Well, this is joke.
I would.
Should tell us what you'll spell out.
Yeah, I'm trying to be civil.
Maybe too crazy. Yeah,
So even despite all the disgrace, just.
it's a well in Charleston.
Very.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. Indeed.
Yeah, I'm a bit, I'm waiting because yeah.
It's the one thing I never worked on.
No, I think it is. I think it's
Oh, it's,
streamed.
okay, now it is, isn't it?
And then we have the streaming here.
Okay, that's right.
First thing we're talking
Good,
about.
yep.
Okay. Thank you all so much for coming.
we want to start soon. I know a bunch of people are trying to find parking, and then a whole bunch, the PRSSA organization, they're in a meeting right now that was rescheduled because of the snow days. Lovely. And it was supposed to be over by now, but it's not.
Okay.
So what we're going to do, I've already talked to the university communications people because I work in the office, and I will have a web page up. We are going to be streaming the panel, right? Like I'm sure you've seen yourself on the screen. So we're going to have the whole thing recorded. We're still going to definitely have it, even if there's low turnout, and post it on social media and web pages and get it out there in other ways. So it's definitely still going to be a video file with the whole discussion done. Are you guys okay with that? Yes.
Depends on what people say.
May I have editorial rights?
I mean, you know, but the snow just messed everything up. We had so many events all scheduled for last week that had to get canceled because of the snow, and then like you guys know how rescheduling thing goes when that's your entire promo week.
Right.
So, but no, I definitely appreciate your patience and stuff, and I know you have someone to be at 8:15, so we will try to get started as soon as possible. But I just want to let you know that it definitely will be a video file, which will be promoted and put out there. And I responded to a couple of people that asked for video files since they weren't able to attend the panel, and I'll be sending it out to them as well. That's what I have for you. So we'll start Monday. We'll start as soon as possible, but I'll let you guys know. Thank you for being patient.
Start tweeting, Facebooking, and everything.
I'll go back there with it just ended and they didn't announce anything about the event. No. Very much like I didn't say anything about it. I don't care about it. How would they not announce it? Like, if that's supposed to happen. Clipstone's going to be getting a visit from me tomorrow, and Atlanta will not be present. It's just a final statement.
I was like, I thought you were going to that. All
I
right.
mean, I'm not.
It's fine to bring your laptop to work.
You're not being productive, too. You could be if you're actually doing it.
As you said, are you ready? Yeah. I mean, they're not going to come.
Your Wi-Fi signal. Slack.
So Matt is going to sit into that. If they want to talk into the laptop, that'd be awesome, because it'll look like it'll be the videos from there. Basically. So does that sound good? Yeah. Alright. Cool. Well, I'm gonna go here.
All right, y'all, we're going to get started. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Sorry for starting a little bit late. Just waiting to see who else would show up. But what y'all came here for is a class that Marcy, Paula, Morgan, who couldn't be here, at least myself, and our advisor, Professor George Johnson, have been working on since last August, and that is a national case study competition put on by PRSSA, which is the Public Relations Student Society of America. Basically, they do it every year. There's around 70 to 100 colleges that take part in it, and we are assigned one client. Everybody's assigned the same client, and throughout fall semester we work developing and learning about PR campaigns, and then we get to this semester and we have February to put on our campaign, the whole month of February. And then we do a write-up and send it into the judges for the competition. This Trusted Transfers is our public service aspect of this campaign for our client, which is Pop Money, a mobile payment system. It works primarily through their mobile app, but they have a website as well. So Trusted Transfers is the sort of team name we've adopted and the overarching theme for our campaign. And as part of that, we wanted to talk a little bit about cybersecurity and keeping your digital and online information safe in a world that's just becoming more and more digital by the day, really. So we invited these four to come and speak at the panel for us. Dr. Zhu is from the college, or the School of Computing and Engineering, we have David Wilhite from One Carolina, Office of Information Security. Tom Webb is from University Technical Services, and Nicholas Cannon showed up for us from the Carolina Collegiate Federal Credit Union. And we have some questions for them, sort of ready for them to talk to us about how to keep your information safe and secure. We're going to start, how about we go right down the line, starting with Dr. Zhu, and just a little about yourself.
I work in the area of wireless security. So I've been analyzing a few commodity products, and no surprise, found lots of vulnerabilities with the thing we're using. So I'm happy to hear to talk about what's a good security practice.
I'm David Wilhite, primarily responsible for security within the One Carolina project. One Carolina is the resource planning project to redo a lot of the central systems within the university. And my focus has been on designing policies and procedures that are secure and getting folks to comply with them.
My name is Tom Webb. I work for the Information Security Department. I'm the operations manager, and in our operations group we do computer forensics, incident response, vulnerability assessments, penetration testing, and whatever else needs to be done.
I'm Nick Cannon from Carolina Collegiate. I'm a teller and on the student board of directors there. And we've been pushing so far the past couple months our online banking, our new banking app, and those technologies, and working with our IT people to make it as safe as possible.
All right, great. We're going to be jumping right into it then. We're live streaming here, so anybody out there tuning in, we have most people kind of situate over here anyways, just sort of talk in this direction. This is our mic. Also, we're encouraging all of you to live tweet throughout the entire event with hashtag trusted transfers. You'll see it up here. We've got our back channel set up, so feel free, anything you hear that you like or that you want to comment on, tweet it, and you'll see it come up throughout the panel. So we'll get started. Dr. Zhu, with all these advancements in technology, social media, and mobile banking, what do you think is most important thing that young people, college students such as ourselves, need to be cautious about?
So I think the most important thing is when you post something online and when you use social media, remember, whatever you do, it will be permanently online. It's not like in the old days. We talk about old days, there's no privacy in the village because everybody knows what's going on with other people. But actually, if you look at today compared then, we actually have less privacy today. In the past, if some embarrassing things happen, then people can always move to another village and have a fresh restart. But since we live in this big Earth village right now, if you play something, upload something embarrassing online, it will stay with you forever. So remember that. So don't try to make the decision on a moment. I just want to share this picture. Think about whether you want to have this picture with all your life. That's something you want to remind young people.
Okay. Anything to add, David?
It's when you talk about all the different platforms, the different social media, mobile platforms, and so forth that this question encompasses, I had to back off and think what really applies, what core concept applies to all that in terms of caution. And my one core piece of advice is be skeptical. Be skeptical of the email that you get from the Nigerian prince who promises you millions of dollars. Be skeptical of the sudden post from one of your Facebook friends. It's very uncharacteristic because it could be that following that link to that really cool video, it commandeers your Facebook account. Be skeptical of security products that promise to keep you completely safe. For instance, antivirus is many people assume that antivirus, as long as they've got antivirus on their computer, they can't get a virus. But it's not really 100% effective. And in fact, with the newest and most dire threats, it is typically no more than maybe 40 or 50% effective. So be skeptical, and be skeptical of privacy promises. So we've seen betrayals from the social media providers that we kind of assume or expect a certain degree of privacy, and maybe the rules change on us in the background. So that's the core concept here. Be skeptical, and that's another way of saying think twice.
I'd just like to comment about, you know how Apple is such a large company, and that sort of idea that Macs don't get viruses. Do any of you have any sort of input on that whole thing? Because that's something we as college students, everyone has an iPhone or a MacBook, and the idea that, oh, I have a Mac, I can't get a virus. What do some of y'all have to add to that?
I think Tom could probably handle that one pretty well.
Yeah, so Macs definitely get viruses. The most well-known virus right now is Flashback for the Mac. I actually wrote a script to detect it back when the antivirus vendors were not. So we had a lot of students coming in that we were blocking, and we would run this custom script that I wrote to detect a specific version. So absolutely, they do get viruses just like everybody else. And one of the things is that, as you know, with Flash being cross-platform, it works on every system. With Java being cross-platform, it works on every system. I write an exploit for one of those applications, and it works on all of the systems. So now, as an attacker, it's convenient for me, just like as a developer, it's convenient for you to write a program once and it works on everything. So absolutely, it happens.
All right, Nick, what do you have to add about the most important thing that, being one of us, that young people such as ourselves and you think about in this new digital age?
Just don't be too trusting of social media networks. People are always posting, oh, they're going to go on vacation or they're here for the weekend. That is way too much trust to put in some people. That is setting yourself up to get robbed, have information stolen from your apartment or anything. Just be skeptical, like David said.
All right, on to our next question. We've all heard about Snapchat getting hacked earlier this year, and then we all live in this great state of South Carolina with all of the taxpayer information breaches that we had going on with that. Seeing as this directly affects us as students, all of us as South Carolina residents, what are some tips where we should and shouldn't put our information online? Or say, like, with giving information to the government, is that something that you just can't help if that's going to happen in the state government, or what?
Yeah, I mean, my advice is just assume everything you have is compromised or will be compromised. Just from the fact that you really just don't know. So you're really in what we call a detective mode. You need to make sure you monitor your credit cards and monitoring your all your other things. Sign up for credit monitoring for loans and stuff like that. It's too difficult now. Data is a business here in the United States. All these people collect data about you, and then they sell that data to other people. So, I mean, that's part of their jobs, and you can assume that all of these people that are mining this data, at some point, someone's going to get compromised. Mm-hmm. So you just need to keep an eye on it.
So then, Dr. Shu, with all of this data mining, is there a way to be anonymous online?
There's technology to try to keep things anonymous. But the fact is, with researchers, we always try to figure out what's going on in this big pile of data, even there's no identity. And there are several researchers show that even without identity, we can still link data and try to find out like useful information or embarrassing information out there. So I want to add on a little bit on the event of the happened event in South Carolina. So with that event, we actually should realize that we have to rely on ourselves, depend on ourselves, on protecting our own data. You can't trust anyone. So when giving out personal information, think about whether that information is absolutely necessary for whatever the site is doing. So for instance, with Google Plus and Facebook, a lot of other social media, they have the option let you fill in your phone number, date of birth, address, a lot of hobbies, and a lot of kind of very private information. are those information really needed online? Probably not. So don't fill them out, and don't try to expose yourself so much you won't attract enough attention. Think about later, it's gonna bite you back. So think twice. Don't give out data. Basically, that's the highlight, and depend on yourself. That's the tip. I will emphasize on.
Anything to add, David?
There's not really a simple line you can draw for all types of data that you can submit. So I would say that you need to, your level of trust in the entity that you're giving your data to should match the level of sensitivity that you're willing to give up of the data. So for instance, if you have very low trust in a social media site, you probably want to give just the most general data about you, things that are publicly available already. But for somebody, presumably, who's going to safeguard your data, like the IRS or the Department of Revenue, you may not have a choice in how much data you can give them, and you may innately trust them at least more than Facebook, say.
So, Nick, working at Carolina Collegiate, do you find either customers, like, how is that level of trust, people coming in there, and how do you work to sort of establish that with them?
Well, we see lots of people having trouble when they give debit card, credit card information online. It's very important when you're giving debit card information online that you have a very strong firewall and that you trust the websites you're giving your very personal information, banking information to. Make sure that the websites are always encrypted, HTTPS, don't give out your bank account to sketchy websites. Make sure they're reputable, have good reviews, and that you trust the information.
Okay, so with everything moving more mobile, is there a difference between being mobily secure and just being purely digitally secure from, say, a desktop computer, which is ever the more rare these days? But as far as from apps and things like that, is there a way to be more secure? Are there differences in how you go about doing that? Doctor?
So in terms of difference, because of the phones, they're mobile, so they actually can release more information about you, what you've been doing daily. There's actually researchers show that even if you put your phone right next to your keyboard, and when you type the keyboard, the vibration of the table can kind of pick it up by the accelerometers of the smartphone, and certain typing can be captured and can be identified. So that's just one example showing you how much a smartphone can do because of the mobility and because of the rich sensors that's on the smartphone. So from that aspect, the smartphone can release more information. But in terms of how bad guy can do, like in terms of whether there's more virus, malware on smartphone or on computers. So at the current stage, I think probably personal computer, because it's been using for a long time, so there's might be more vulnerable. I have to be very careful here. But in the foreseeable future, I can't say that will be the case. Because if the bad guy can see there's like a profit that they can get from a mobile phone, they probably will spend more time digging out vulnerabilities, and maybe in the future there will be more malware attacking phones. There's already virus and malware, a lot of apps. A lot of people have shown that apps have malwares in them. So it's hard to say which one is more secure, but just smartphone definitely release more information.
Okay, sort of going off of that topic, Tom, as the doctor mentioned, with computer technology having sort of been around longer and there being more malware sort of geared towards computers, does that also, the other side of that, are there more ways to like fight that, or which is sort of moving faster?
Yeah, I think there's definitely more ways to fight malware on your computer. It's a lot more mature platform for those type of things. Most people don't. But certainly there's a lot more options to do that. And on the flip side, with the the apps, people aren't targeting them, but I would say the coding practices, just as people are new developers that are allowed to doing that, their coding practices probably aren't as good. People aren't attacking it, but it's not more mature. So I would say attacking mobile apps is probably easier. People just aren't doing it. And the attacks on the computers are a little more sophisticated, but more people are doing it because that's what people are familiar with.
Okay, so with things like on smartphones, you can get your digital wallets now, and we say people aren't really targeting apps too much at the moment. Would you be able to access things like that going through an app?
It's possible, sure. Depending on, there's lots of depends, but yes, if an application has a vulnerability that's serious enough, it could access anything that was on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Most of both Android and iPhone try to limit what access an individual app has, but that saying, there are ways around those access controls.
On that sort of going off of that, Nick, you mentioned earlier you guys have a lot of problems like what people enter their debit and credit information. Do you have any sort of stories, or have you ever been hacked yourself, or have you ever helped out people coming in who have had their information hacked? How was that?
We help members all the time. We fight people that do this online to our members. We work with the police departments here at USC locally, and it's a free service for our members. We get back all their money that they have been hacked through your companies. The instance there is fraud on a debit card, we shut it down. We get them a new debit card, and we protect their security through that. Our free ID restoration.
Is that sort of a constant monitoring
Yes.
of that fraud? And is that common among all sort of banks and credit unions, or?
It is. Some banks will charge you a fee. Our credit union here at USC does not charge fees for our service, but bank accounts are very constantly monitored, and the best way to protect yourself against fraud is just checking your balances daily, make sure that there's no fraudulent activity on your account, and the second something happens, get in contact with your bank, get in contact with the police department as soon as possible.
All right, so let's just work our way back down the line here. Have you ever been hacked or helped someone else been hacked? I'm sure you have, Tom, and
sure.
How was that?
Yeah, I mean, recently my sister had, and so that was interesting perspective. But yeah, I mean that's what we deal with every day. It's pretty common. Depending on what level, a lot of times people don't realize that they've been attacked. It's just regular malware that's collecting your passwords and that type of stuff. But if it's actually, stealing your bank account information, most people generally realize that. Those are not necessarily more sophisticated or less sophisticated. It's just a different type of attack. But most malware now is geared towards making money. So either they're making money off the credentials they collect from you and sell those, or they actually log into your account and steal the money out of your account.
David?
Yeah, and in terms of lessons learned from hackings, I think Tom would agree with me here. One of the very most important things that you can do technically is to make sure you do your upgrades and patching. You know how annoying it is when you get pop-ups for Flash and Adobe upgrade this, that, and the other. But those upgrades really do protect you from vulnerabilities that can infect your computer or allow your computer to be infected just by visiting a site. So I think that's the biggest takeaway, the lesson learned from hacking experiences.
Doctor.
So actually, one of my relatives, she got hacked. It's actually a pretty complicated hack. They're using QQ, that's the Chinese chatting program, and so I think my aunt's daughter's account was hacked. So someone pretending to be her daughter and sending out information to her, say, I want to attend this education program, which requires like 20K IMB, and please transfer the money to this account. I need to pay it today. And at that time, it's interestingly, my aunt tried to call her daughter. She can't even reach her phone, but luckily my aunt was too busy, so she like waited and later found out it's the account being hacked. So it's quite like a very sophisticated chain. You have to hack this account, somehow make the phone not working, and then use like social engineering, and you have to talk the way. I mean, the attacker has to talk the way like my aunt's daughter. So this just shows how sophisticated attacker can be just to get money. So yeah, unfortunately, luckily that doesn't happen. And actually, I heard a lot of hacked story in China, not in the U.S. probably. People here are more cautious, or maybe more private. But that's unfortunate things. Hopefully, when people learn and then think about whether things make sense, and don't always trust the messages sent over internet. Always try to call the person and confirm before transfer any money, do anything.
Yeah, I think that was similar to what my sister faced was, and one of the key things in that is it's always in a hurry. They need the money in a hurry, so they try to give this sort of, I need it immediately, so you feel like you put less thought into it and feel pressured into making those decisions. So anytime you see something that's fishy like that and they're putting some kind of time constraint on it, that certainly should be a huge, huge red flag.
So how much or how little really does it take to say, is it something as simple as like if your Facebook gets hacked, is it something that simple that they can go from there and maybe get your email, get into whatever, is it like that simple?
Yeah, I think most of the really the worst hacks begin from kind of a foothold situation. So they may start with compromising somebody's Facebook account, and from that get someone else's email account information. And from that, they may look and find bits of credit card numbers and so forth. You can see how it very quickly spider out into some very deep damages.
Yeah, the ugliest ones are when you lose access or when someone hacks your email account, right? Because all your password resets to every other site flow through your email account, your banking and everything. So, Google allows two-factor authentication through Google Authenticator. I would certainly have a strong authentication on your email when possible, because that's the gatekeeper. If they can get to your email, they can basically do anything, reset any password.
How about things like going back a little bit more towards mobile, where these days, you link up Facebook with your phone contacts. Does that put, say, all of your contacts then at risk of possibly losing some of their information or their information being compromised? Has anyone ever heard of any stories of this?
So actually, I want to add 2 points to the previous question, then I'll come back to this one. So in terms of ways of hacking into like email accounts, Facebook accounts, many times there's an entrance point. So it, as I know, at least there are 2 ways. Someone sends you an email with suspicious links or attachment, and you did something. Or you were browsing online and happen to click some phishing website. And after clicking, there's malware, spyware, or keyloggers can be installed on your computer, which can harvest your passwords. Or it's just when you click, it actually automatically runs some script and got the password you stored on your computer. So a good practice is if you don't trust the email, you don't know the website, don't click it. So and try to be disciplined to yourself. Don't be curious. There's no free naked picture of Britney. Okay, so coming back to with mobile phones. So what was this question?
Have we heard of, or would that sort of updating all of your Facebook information with like your phone contacts, does that compromise, say, those people that are in your contacts, or have you heard of any instances of that?
So I think what I heard or what I've seen is once your phone is compromised, the malware, the virus, may try to search for the contacts and try to send out like a virus to those accounts. But it will not immediately compromise your friends. So again, if you have one of your friends got compromised, if you have a good practice, then you will not be affected as easy as they did.
Right. Going back, Nick, this one's for you. Dr. Chu mentioned sites that have key loggers, and we've heard of ATMs that sort of have these similar sort of technology. Have you?
Skimmers.
Yeah. Have you worked with these at all, and like sort of heard of any? Had to deal with them at all?
We've had problems with people using other ATMs. Part of being in a credit union is we maintain our ATMs very well. And through our shared branching network of other credit unions, we always make sure our ATMs are safe. We have people constantly checking them and updating them. But if people go out to another ATM, their information is at risk. And like I said, the best defense is just constantly monitor your account, because people are always trying to hack into your private banking information for your money. And the sooner you can find issues with something, the easier it will be to get your money returned to you.
So say someone's like debit card information is compromised at an ATM that isn't Carolina Collegiate ATM. How do you guys deal with that? Do you still get back their money, and then how do you deal with that institution?
We return the money to the members if we find fraudulent activity, and then we just work through police outlets, our IT department, and everything.
Okay. So we've sort of gone through this a little bit with the apps, and we're all downloading them more and more, especially we've seen more mobile banking and like our client Pop Money mobile payment services where you can just transfer money via text or email. All I have to do is go on and accept it, download the app, and enter their bank account information. Now, with this sort of technology, we see some that are backed by financial institutions. This one, Pop Money, is backed by Fiserv, which is a pretty big financial institution that backs, it's over 2,000 banks nationwide. But then we see some other apps that are backed by like more of a technology company and not necessarily a financial institution. Is there a difference in security, would you think? Which would you rather work with or work towards, Doctor?
I guess probably you will have better answer. Actually, I'm not too confident.
David?
The thing I look for is, and maybe you've heard the expression, follow the money. If you're truly a paying customer of a bank or another company, an airline, you might tend to trust their app a little bit more because they have incentive to protect your data more. Whereas if it's just a free game, they may not care that much about safeguarding your information and your location, for instance, on your phone. So I guess is that kind of the concept you're asking about?
Even more so going down that road is we've seen multiple, we've researched all like different mobile payment applications throughout this whole process, and we see some that charge like a flat rate for every transaction, some like charge nothing up to like $10, and then it's like a small rate after that, and then we see some that are just free up and down the whole board. What are your sort of feelings about that?
I don't know that I would necessarily differentiate those because, again, if you're talking about comparing apples to apples, financial institutions, they have, generally all the financial institutions have the same statutory law requirements that they have to comply with. So I would really put them off behind a different wall than I would considering any of the other app providers.
Right. Okay, so Tom, we see a lot of these financial institutions are starting to like buy this technology from technology companies and adopt it as like their own little technology within their bank. do you have anything to sort of say about how these technology companies work, sort of their skill level as compared to if a financial institution just goes out and tries, recruiting their own tech people to make the program?
Yeah, I mean, normally if someone goes out and acquires them, it's a small company and they're real agile, and normally if they've gotten enough attention to be bought by a big company, they're at least thinking in the right directions. Now, from a security standpoint, it's hard to say. I mean, obviously the designers, if they've gotten enough attention, are probably pretty flashy in how the app works, or there's some kind of intellectual property that the bank is interested in obtaining for that. But as far as the security concerns, it's hard to say unless the app is touting we are the most secure payment app because we do blah blah blah. Then it's probably neither here nor there from a security or data perspective.
All right. I'd like to close on just one sort of the tough one for all of you to each answer. What's the most important piece of advice you could give to a college student such as us in reference to online digital security?
So I would say try to depend on yourself, behave, and whenever you click, whenever you want to upload, think twice.
All right. David?
Yeah, I would second that. Yeah, along with my already established be skeptical thing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, just monitor your accounts. Monitor what you feel is important. If you're really worried about your online reputation, there's different sites that'll send you alerts when there's certain things that pop up that people can search on, or monitor your bank accounts, get text messages anytime something over $5 happens. Those type of things. Chances are something at some point in your life is going to go wrong as far as your data being leaked or your bank accounts being hacked, and so just be vigilant and have certain alerts set up so when something happens, at least you'll know fairly quickly and have a game plan on what to do.
And like they've all said, just be cautious when you're online using the internet. Make sure your firewall and antivirus is always up to date, always secure and everything. And make sure that when you post something online, know that it's online forever, that anyone can see it. A future employer can see it. Future parents, as a girlfriend, boyfriend, just anyone can see your information that's out there. And just be very cautious of that.
All right, great. Paula? You have a question? Yeah.
Yeah, and if anyone else has questions, obviously feel free. Kind of backtracking on what Matt was asking about the specific, mobile applications, because mobile banking is becoming so big with social media and everyone having iPhones, etc. What are your thoughts on, hypothetically, if an app, like you wanted to use a mobile transfer app from your iPhone to pay back your friend for whatever, and the information it required you to fill out was not only your debit card per transaction, but also it wanted your routing number to your bank and the last 4 of your social. Would you personally feel comfortable with that? And what are some security risks involved in entering that kind of information into an application like that?
It really depends. If, let's say, you're using Bank of America, and then you're transferring money from Bank of America to someone else, and you're using the app from Bank of America, then probably I would willing to say what's the routing number, because they already know it. It should be automatic. I log into my account, and they show me whether this is your routing number and account, instead of I tell them. So that's the right direction. So release as little information as possible, and never release passwords.
And then if it's from a financial institution, you can be a little bit more cautious using a financial institution because the money would be secured by the national government. They have very sensitive and very well-distinct security systems already in place. And like everyone's been saying, monitor your bank account. Make sure that if you transferred $23 from your checking account on the 21st, make sure they took out only $23. Make sure they're not pulling money from your account in the future.
Have any more questions?
I'd just make a point, if I could. Rick Stevens. I'm retired faculty, but I was a college teacher for 37 years, and while I taught in a journalism school, my background was in economics. And I used to teach, of course, in media economics, and we'd emphasize financial literacy. And I would just point out, and I'm sure the analysts would agree, a sort of overlay super concept that's above these is to just take seriously the whole issue of personal financial literacy. Because it's not just something that impacts people in my age group. We got too many seniors that can't afford to pay for their retirement. We're a basket case in terms of our understanding of personal financial issues as a country. It's just absurd how little, and one of the groups that does this kind of research for the team's benefit that you probably, if you wanted to get some baseline research on this, is the Federal Reserve does surveys of financial, what it's called the current survey of personal finance, and every 3 years they do a survey of the American public, and so there are benchmarks that you can kind of look to, but I would just say that if you got into the habit, and if I may compliment the credit union here, a little personal anecdote, I guess even before personal financial software became popular, I was using this. And of course, when spreadsheets came out, I was doing this by hand before the first spreadsheets came out. But the credit union just, overnight stopped supporting Quicken. And I called the credit union. That's what you can do when you get to be 70 and you've got a lot of time on your hands. And I just rant and rave that they had done this. I said, this is a stupid thing to have done from a personal financial literacy standpoint. It's much easier to do the kind of tracking you're talking about, but to the credit union's credit, the head shed called me on the phone. And I said, and I explained to her the importance of doing this because Mint doesn't support it. There are no other, Mint.com, even though it's owned by it, does not support the Quicken stuff. So just as a logic, I would say that kind of a thing to keep in mind in terms of concept and strategy is the whole issue of personal financial literacy, and maybe think about the fact that this kind of technology may make it easier, may increase people's ability to track things. So, just a point I would make, when you were talking about rounding numbers, most of you know if you pay your taxes or do your taxes on your own, as I've done, that you can e-file. Well, you have to provide your rounding number and that kind of stuff. And as Nick said, as long as it's financial institution to financial institution or somebody else, you can be, but that enables you to more quickly track those kinds of transactions. So I think that's a kind of an underlying advantage of this concept you're all talking about. It would be a way of tracking these kind of transactions between informal clients.
And on that note of financial literacy, the university offers great resources to USC students about financial literacy. Through the Student Success Center, they have free financial counseling for any student that wants to look over their finances, improve their credit score, or just help monitor bank accounts. And through Carolina Collegiate, we offer Excel, an online literacy program, Excel, that can help our members improve their credit score and standing.
Any more questions for the panelists?
As you're thinking about putting information on your phone, so if you're using apps that you're going to be doing that type of information, is there anything that you would recommend that the students are writing to that they should do with their phone before internet applications?
Set a passcode to your phone first. Because if you don't, you store all the information. Anyone found your phone, they can do whatever you can.
Yeah, also Find My iPhone or some of the other, like Pray is an Android app that's free that allows you to wipe your phone remotely if you do lose it. Those are also good things to do. Thanks.
How often should you be changing your account passwords?
as often as you can handle.
Like once a month, or like how often do you update yours?
It's a good question. We know all the rules, but maybe we don't follow ourselves just for convenience reason. We have to pick a good password, and which means it's hard to remember. So that's why I said if you can handle change your password once a month, that's a good practice.
Well, I think you will find a difference of opinion among different security professionals about whether or not you should change your password. If it's a circumstance where you would have the opportunity to know if somebody had figured out your password, then you wouldn't necessarily need to change it very often. If you've got a good secure password up front, that should hold you forever. I mean, by changing the password, the only thing you're really preventing is that if somebody's using that account and you haven't detected it, then they would lose access once you change the password. So it doesn't really add up front a level of security. It could possibly help you in some circumstances, but I, for one, really don't change my passwords often. I pick a very good complex password up front and don't worry about it unless I have reason to believe that it may have been compromised.
What Dave failed to mention is that he has a unique password for every site.
Oh, this is true.
So
good point.
That is key. So if you have the same password for every site, then I would change it probably daily. So with that being said, yeah, absolutely. If nothing else, have 2 or 3. Have one for your social media accounts. Have one just for your banking accounts. If nothing else, but I strongly suggest having one for every site. Now, with that said, there's lots of password managers. LastPass is pretty popular. It's a cloud-based service, and then there's KeyPass, which is a local application you can run on your Mac and Windows machine.
Do they charge for those?
KeyPass is free.
KeyPass is free. LastPass is free also if you don't want to use it on your mobile device. So if you want to use your mobile device, then you will need to pay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Actually, I agree. So then if you have entered your password from a public computer or from your a friend's computer, then it's a good practice to change your password. You never know what's being installed on that computer.
And don't share passwords with your friends or your roommates or your boyfriends. I get a call once a week from somebody that has done that, and we have to deal with
Be worried
those
if that's
problems.
the second question that comes up on the date. What's your password?
Yeah, it's very common, and the typical thing we'll see their log in and drop all their classes and that kind of stuff. Yeah, we see that quite often. So. Again, be aware that you should not do that.
Can you get in trouble legally for that?
Yes,
Yes.
we work with the police department.
That's a federal offense.
Yes.
You haven't done this, though.
So what do you think about when we have different sites that make it convenient for you to link it to your Facebook page so you can just log in with your Facebook?
Yeah, so that's what it's called federated password management. So you've got these password services that can be used from different other services. So like a lot of different services will allow you to log in with your Facebook account or your Google account, and that's very convenient because you don't have to remember all the extra passwords. And you don't have to go through all necessarily the whole rigmarole of setting up a new account. I avoid that as much as possible because, as Tom said, I want a unique password for every site. Generally, those processes are secure, but I'm just a little bit more paranoid than that.
Yeah, they do. But basically, how they work is you have an intermediary. And you talk to him and say, I want to log into this, and the intermediary says, yes, you're authenticated, and then hands you off to that guy saying, yes, he's authenticated, go. So you're not really exchanging credentials with the other site. They're just okaying that you're okay, but still just be careful, cautious. It's not necessarily a bad thing, just depends on where your risk level is, if you trust it or not.
Any other questions?
Now, I want to add a little bit to that, actually. Another caution I would add to that federated approach is especially with Facebook, if you're using your Facebook credentials to log into a different site, that probably means you're also sharing your private data from Facebook to that site.
That's true. Yeah, depending on if it's an app or not, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Want to add?
So just talking about possible attacks with this federated login. If I'm a bad guy, I can write a website showing you, hey, you can log in with your Facebook account. But actually, I will not route your information to Facebook, but I will remember it and then hand it to Facebook. So that way, your Facebook account password will be stored, will be recorded by this website. So that's one reason you want to be cautious unless you trust that website and you really need the convenience to remember the password of Facebook. Otherwise, convenience security, pick one.
Hey, I could change all my passwords.
Any more questions? Any more comments?
I have a question, also kind of more towards the financial perspective. What's your opinion on these like money transfer services like Western Union and MoneyGram from a safety and security perspective?
I haven't used them myself, and I'm not sure how well I would trust doing it online. In general, if I trust the website, and that's going to be through a security certificate and a known name brand, then I may trust them to handle my transaction securely. And really, in general, I trust online transactions more than I do face-to-face transactions, because quite frankly, like in a restaurant, you give the server your card, they go off with it somewhere, and they bring it back to you later with the bill, and you don't know what happened to it.
Yeah, I would also add that it's with credit cards, you know, your fraud level is pretty low. Normally it's like $5 to $15 depending on your credit card. With your bank account, that fraud is generally a little higher. I want to say it's like $100 you're responsible for, and it could take.
I think it's 50 and 500
it's
actually.
55, and it can take quite a while to get that money back. I know some people it's taken a couple weeks, and they had their entire bank account drawn. They missed their mortgage payments and such because of that. So I'm much more risk averse with my bank account and linking stuff to my bank account than I am with my credit card. My credit card, I use it all the time. You know, and I don't worry too much about it. I've even bought stuff from China for some, electronics and stuff like that, and not too worried on. And they were fairly shady sites. And I'm pretty sure it's compromised. And, they're the only person that had this, this electronic chip that I wanted for this project I was doing, and so I was like, well, here we go.
Now you have a professor you can call. Can help you.
That's right.
What do you guys think about PayPal?
PayPal, I generally trust. I've used it some. I prefer to go, use my credit card directly, but I do go through PayPal some.
Yeah, I trust PayPal because PayPal has been out there for a while. It's not like a new company. And I've been using PayPal for a while, so nothing happened with the card I linked to the PayPal account. So from personal experience, it seems like it's trustworthy and their security is working.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with PayPal. The only time I really use it, though, is within stuff I bought on eBay. I don't necessarily trust third-party people that we use my PayPal payment per se. You're at, I don't know, whatever site, and they're, log in with your PayPal credentials. And I don't necessarily trust that, but within eBay, I don't have any problems since they're owners of the data.
How much do you guys trust something like Google Wallet?
I haven't used it, and I really haven't evaluated the risks for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's based off your NFC chip on your phone. I haven't used it. I'm not necessarily against it per se. I haven't really looked at the threat vector on it. The biggest threat would be anybody could have your NFC chip try to transfer data at any point instead of swiping it over just a little payment area. So if it was fairly easy to turn on and off, I would just turn it on when I needed it and would turn it off without it. It's not something I would leave on all the time and just swipe whenever I wanted to pay. I'd want to make sure there was some kind of mechanism to make sure it was disabled when I wasn't ready to pay. It's just like Bluetooth or any other technology. If you're not using it, disable it until you need it and then cut it on.
Anything else? Right. Well, we thank our panelists so much for coming out to make this happen. We thank all of you guys for coming out too. We have refreshments set up over here by the door, and
could we also, before everyone leaves, I know it's late, get a group photo by the banner for our campaign book. We have to track every amount we do.
All right.
You want us to take a picture of you?
Oh no, everyone.
No.
Everyone, yeah.
Our website. I was so disappointed.
Oh, security.sc.edu.
Yes.
I think I got it in there.
Matt, can you take the banner down and we can put it in front?
Also, I know there were a couple of you here probably for extra credit for your professors. If you want to write their names down for me, and then I'll send you.
Thank you, sir. It's real good to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the more people, the better.
Yeah, you get double credit. Yeah.
You look too sophisticated a bit, didn't you?
No,
You gotta get one of these.
I work with these guys. I work do information security.
Yeah, so if Elise, you want to get in the front with maybe.
Yeah, so he served up a question for us.
That's right. He was the Confederate in the audience. Okay, that's good. That's good.
I had to be warm.
Yeah, and then lovely panelists.
Lovely panelists, not me.
No, everyone. We need more bodies, better.
Careful talking about breaking.
Yeah, you know me.
Yeah, as obscure as possible.
Where's my Guy Fawkes mask? That'd be awesome.